All right, let's break these puppies down. Been hearing some hot, spicy jalapeno takes, dude. Time to set the record straight. So let's start with the Noxus. Apprehend is actually kind of nutty. 2 mana, stun an enemy, and if you have Darius Rally, this is kind of like Harrowing, actually. What this does is gives you a second swing for your beefy overwhelms. The difference between this and Harrowing is that when you get your big... You can't run units that you plan on having die anymore. This is now a finisher card like Harrowing was in a Darius deck. It's not as good as Harrowing because it's a 2-card combo rather than 1, but it's only 2 mana, and it's definitely going to be used. There's going to be a Darius deck out there that uses Apprehend. Basilisk is a little bit more interesting. Basilisk is really cool, I think, for a reason that I'm not even sure exists, but if it is, it's cool. Okay, so this deal 1 damage to an ally and an enemy 4 times. I'm pretty sure this is targeting an enemy 4 times. So what this should mean is that Ezreal should get 4 individual level procs from this. So if you have, like, I don't know, any tough minion on the board, Ruthless Raider or whatever, and then you play this on it, and then some enemy with 4 health, you could do, that's 4 Ezreal procs, I think. So you could do an Ezreal Noxus deck that's doing, like, Fervor, Death's Hand. I could even see Ravenous Flock, all that kind of stuff, and then maybe getting a decent Ezreal trigger out of that. So I'm kind of interested to see if that actually works with Ezreal, but either way, you play this on any tough unit, tough ally you have, obviously, and you get none of the downside while getting all of the upside, and then it's kind of a baby Riptide Rex. Either way. So that's good stuff there. Gonna move on to Demacia. This For the Fallen card is actually kind of interesting. So there's a card called Reinforcements. Summons 2 Dauntless Vanguards and then gives all elites +1/+1. This card can kind of be used in synergy with that. The only thing that's bad about this card is that when you're playing Demacia mid-range, especially with elites, you're not really trading down a lot. If you're swinging the board if you're swinging all out into a board that's going to kill all your guys, you've probably already lost the game. And if you haven't, I don't see how reloading with 3/3s is really going to do it for you. Oh boy. But the thing is, you can go, kill your board off. Let's say this For the Fallen gives you 3 elites. So that's summon 3 Dauntless Vanguards. So that reduces your additional For the Fallen. So you could have another one in hand or something, and then that makes your next For the Fallen cheaper by 3. And then it also allows you to play Reinforcements that turn. So you go For the Fallen for 5, get 3 elites, and then Reinforcements. But still, that's spending all your mana on a board full of 4/4s. So what I'm trying to say is that this could be good in the future, but I don't think it has enough token and elite buffing synergy in the game right now to make it worth it. If in the next wave of cards they add more elites, I think this card could start to be something. Poro Cannon is a fantastic card in a lot of different ways. It's going to enable a whole lot of interesting combos that weren't allowed before. You add 2 Daring Poros to your hand, that's Von Yip. That's you also just get for free 0 mana the ability to turn a Heart of the Fluffed into elusive. So it might actually make a Poro control deck good. Freljord, P, and Z Poros might actually be good. This Tri-Beam Improbulator seems like their attempt to give us another engine, like Heimerdinger was. Deal 1 to a unit, summon a random 1 cost, and then buff that whenever you play a 3-cost card. So that'll go to 2 to a unit, summon a 2 cost, all the way up to, you know, so deal 10 to a unit, summon a 10 cost, depending on how many 3-cost cards you play. So this is like kind of giving us something else to do with our 3-card engine package, like what Heimerdinger was doing. The problem is they already buffed Flash of Brilliance up to 4 mana, which is really what this card wanted to do. This card wanted to sit in your hand while you had Flash of Brilliance and spam all that stuff. This was like, if Heimerdinger and Flash of Brilliance didn't get nerfed, this would have made it like broken. So they might have printed this card and then planned and then noticed that, and that's why they changed Heimerdinger and Flash of Brilliance, because the only problem with the Heimerdinger deck was the fact that if you didn't have Heimerdinger on board, you had to hold your Flash of Brilliance. Otherwise, you basically lost the game. Definitely not as good. Jack's an insane card. If you don't answer Jack, you might just like lose the game. It's just a 5-mana 5/6, and it starts pumping the enemy Nexus. Sleep with the Fishes synergizes with Powder Kegs. It does 2 to an enemy and an ally. Or 2 to an ally and 2 to the enemy Nexus. So that synergizes with, you know, this whole Bilgewater, deal damage to the face, Powder Kegs. There actually might be a burn deck. Bilgewater burn water deck. Might be a burn water deck. That is Powder Monkeys and Kegs and Jack the Winner. Now for the fun stuff. So Freljord ramp, baby. They added Faces of the old ones in as an addition to Wording Stones. I think maybe you just run both. I'm not actually sure yet. This says if you behold an 8+ cost card, gain an extra mana gem this round. And then Wording Stones has no condition. You just always gain the extra mana gem. The difference is it's a 3-mana 0/4 instead of a 2-mana 0/2. I'm not sure how valuable it actually is to get it out one turn earlier. It's going to definitely be valuable, but I'm not sure how valuable. So I'm going to run probably 3 copies of both at the beginning and see how they do. What I'm not going to run is cards like Troll Scavenger and Troll Ravager. These are upsides when you behold an 8-cost card, but the problem is you want to ramp past these. You want to drop your Faces of the Old Ones and Wording Stones on 2 and 3, so you don't actually have to play these Troll Scavengers and Troll Ravagers. The one Behold card that I actually want to be using is this Augur of the Old Ones, because the effect is grant an ally Overwhelm and Regeneration. And I'm going to talk later about how that I think that's going to be amazing with dragons specifically. Dragons have Fury. They get +1/+1 when they kill things. And so if they have regeneration, that's an incredibly powerful synergy. Other than that, I think Trundle is going to be nice for this whole ramp thing. I'm going to try him out. Icequake might be a good card to behold. With this 8-cost thing, might be a good card to ramp into. Might also be a little slow. We'll see. And then Call of the Wild is going to be just really good ramp. Completely separate from the ramp, or just good draw, I mean. Completely separate from the ramp package, but going to be amazing draw. All right. So Shadow Isle's got the Nightfall package. Targon also got some Nightfall too, but Shadow Isle's got the Nocturne, which is, it synergizes really hard with Nightfall. When you've attacked with 5+ Nightfall allies, you get to give all enemies -1/-0. So the level up basically, so when you play him, he gives all enemies -1/-0. That's like Frenzied Skitterer. I think that whole Frenzied Skitterer Nocturne type effect is actually going to be usable. So the idea is -1/-0 to all enemies. When he levels, that effect happens every single time you play a unit. So it's going to be like a one-turn finisher with Nocturne. It's going to be just like Ashe, actually. You know how with Ashe, she levels up, and then you play Harsh Winds, and then you play like Ice Veil Archer, and then you swing, and their board is frozen, and you win the game? Nocturne's going to be the exact same thing. You play Nocturne, he levels, they get the -1, -0. You play 2 more things, they get -3, -0. Everything is now 2 attack or below, and then you just get a free swing to win the game. So I think Nocturne's going to function a lot like Ashe, because all your units will have Fearsome. That's another thing with Nocturne. I think it's just going to be like an Ashe finisher, but in Shadow Isles instead of the Frostbite thing. One thing to note is that this does synergize with Frostbite, actually. A lot of these things get Fearsome. So there might be like a Shadow Isles Freljord thing to look at. But I think for now, if you want to go all in on the Nightfall, it's going to be Shadow Isles Targon for Diana and the rest of the Nightfall cards. Not outside of Nightfall, you have this Stalking Shadows and Encroaching Shadows. These cards are going to be nutty. These cards are just insane. Draw, gain a copy, and buff all cards in the deck. It's just going to be amazing in every single tempo. We'll see how the Nightfall package actually goes. I don't want to rate cards that, I would love to talk about Doom Beast, Dust Rider, Stygian in by themselves. But until we know how each one actually plays, there's no point in giving these random ratings. Also Mistwraith. I forgot about this. Summons a Mistwraith. We got added Mistwraiths and the spell to do it now. So Mistwraiths are going to be a threat to be looking for. So we got Ionia here. Lulu looks good, but the problem with Lulu is that you have to attack. You have to attack with a 2/3 anytime after turn 3, which is when all the 3/3s come out. So to really make Lulu good, you need barriers, I think. Barriers or some other answer to make Lulu not die immediately. Like, you're going to have to use your first Twin Disciples on her. You need to make sure your token has survived to the point where turning it into a 4/4 is worth it. But she definitely has a bunch of options. This granting quick attack, hitting a young witch to 4/4 is amazing, right? So Pix being a 4/4 is also amazing. There's a lot of good stuff you can do, but we'll see how viable it actually is. I think it might be a little bit slow. It looks slower than it actually is. That's the problem. The thing that's not slower than it actually is Taric. The only thing I don't like about Lulu is the fact that it encourages you to attack with all these tiny units you have to attack with all of them to get the support. So you're really only getting one good attack before they probably die. The difference is with Taric, how he's got a ton of HP. With Taric, where'd he go? Oh, he's 2/4. Well, 1 more HP, but he gets tough. So he's a lot harder to answer just on the surface with the blocks, and then you're getting every time. Let's say you use your Twin Disciples on him, you're now getting 2 Twin Disciples worth, 2 barriers, 2 Zenith Blades, and so it's 1 more mana. It's a lot harder to level. But honestly, I think Taric is underrated. I think Taric is so much better than Lulu that it's going to be like not even close. When you're trying to do this support package, it's going to be laughable to not pick Taric, or to pick Taric over Lulu. It might be both. It might be Taric Lulu support deck. That might be it. And then it runs Arbiter of the Peak and Gems, and everything's having a good time. Things to Rush to give a thing quick attack so it doesn't take a bad trade. I could see that happening. Bastion and Blessing of Targon specifically. Blessing of Targon is a +3/+3 for 5, and it's permanent. So you can barrier Blessing of Targon thing and heal it with gems. And then also, there it is. And then also, Fury of the North is only +3/+4 now. So you're getting just as much attack as Fury of the North for 1 more mana, and the buff doesn't go away. I cannot stress enough how nuts Blessing of Targon actually is. And if you get 2 of it by using it on Taric, that card's nuts. Okay. So like I said, with the Nightfall package, Diana seems like the one you use with this. When you activate Nightfall, that's her thing, so she can be leveled up in the deck, and then she turns into a really big challenger with quick attack when she levels. And Diana is basically like the only thing that Nocturne loses to are really big units. Lots of really big units. If your opponent just has 1 really big unit, they're probably getting run over. If they have 2, that's at 2 or more, that's where you take Diana. You pull in Diana, take care of one of them, the other one gets to block somewhere, and then the rest of your attacks go through usually. So I'm not sure how great this actually is, but if you're gonna go all in on the Nightfall, this Targon, Diana, Nocturne is definitely the way to do it. Leona Daybreak package is godlike. All right. This card, you just like play the 1-drop, then you play the 2-drop, then you play then you play Leona, and then you're basically there with the level up. The thing about stunning enemies is, this is going to be really good in control decks. This is going to be insane in control decks. This is a 4 mana stun the strongest enemy. This is a 4 mana gold card. All right. 4 mana gold card. So Twisted Fate on a 3/5. 3/5 Twisted Fate that just keeps pumping gold cards, dude. Like, you just like sit here in Leona stall until you get your 10 mana blow up everything celestial stuff and you win the game. And that leads into the Celestials and Dragons and Aurelion Soul. I could honestly talk for an hour about this whole thing. I mentioned it earlier. You can do... Let's just look at this. Where'd that dragon whatever go? Dragon's Clutch. So let's say you run Aurelion Soul and Vox. Involius Vox. Let's say those are your only 2 dragons that you run in the deck. Leona and Aurelion Soul and Involius Vox. You use your Dragon's Clutch to draw your Vox and your Aurelion Soul. So now you have a much higher chance of not getting Aurelion Soul out of your tutor cards, like whatever See It in the Stars, that the Celestial that tutors out a champion. There's lots of cards that draw champions from your decks now that you're probably going to want to use in this meta. You now have a way higher chance of getting Leona with that to hit the stall. And then you just do what I mentioned earlier. You hit your ramp with Freljord, and then you do Augur of the Old Ones on Involius Vox, and he's got regeneration now, which kills a thing, generates a dragon, heals him back, kills a thing, generates a dragon. So that's your mid-game package. Leona, Daybreak early game, Leona into Dragons mid-game, into Celestial Finisher late game. You see how that goes? Another thing about Aurelion Soul is people think he's too expensive for turn 10, but there's about a billion ways to get him out earlier. Herald of Mountains, the Celestial card that tutors him out of the deck, like I was talking about. There's a Celestial card that lowers the cost of a unit the next one you play. You can get Aurelion Soul out as early as turn 6. 7, I would say, is consistent. 6 is a high roll. That's the claim I'm making. I'm claiming turn 7 is above 60% for Aurelion Soul. When it comes to the Celestial tutors and ramp and Herald of Dragons, and you can also kind of consider Mountain Scryer because it makes the Celestial ramp card cheaper. I think turn 7 Aurelion Soul is very, very doable. But you know what? Let's just find out tomorrow. I'll see you then.